Hi, I'm Maggie,
Hi, I'm Grace, and this is
a very bookish podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 13 of a very bookish podcast, and we have a very, very, very special guest. We have Cait,
from Caitsbooks.
also known as the mother of Booktok.
Yes, the OG creator, that one of the first creators that I followed on Booktok and Bookstagram. We have the lovely Cait. So, Cait, do you want to introduce yourselves? Your platforms a little bit, give a little bit of the, before we get into questions, anything general about you that you want to let us know?
Sure, yeah. So my name is Cait. I run a Booktok account and a Bookstagram at Caitsbooks, and I also run a book blog, which is caitsbooks.com. And yeah, I just am here to just talk about books. That's what I love most, and I'm pretty much on every single social media platform where you can talk about books. You can find me there.
Yeah, no, you're one of the first creators that I found, because I don't remember when I found you. It was like a year ago when I was on Star Wars TikTok at first, and then I got into cosplay, and then I got into book talk. But you were one of the first people that I followed. Mosh Trash, you, Celine. Oddly, I found Celine very early on. But we have a couple of questions for you. So kind of to get this started off, how did you start your book talk and your Instagram? I know you had the funny reel of your dad saying he would buy you any book you wanted for the rest of your life. So how did you start off creating your accounts?
So growing up, I've always loved to read, which is why my dad made that regrettable promise. But I always really enjoyed it, and I grew up watching BookTube a lot, and I idolized BookTubers. I really wanted to be a BookTuber, and I tried it and I failed. By failed, I mean I just cannot sit and edit those videos. So in high school, I then started a Bookstagram, which I did not commit the time to, but it's still the Bookstagram I use today. And it wasn't until around college that I finally created a book blog and started really getting more active in online book communities and tried to commit a little more to my Bookstagram. And then when TikTok started gaining popularity, I got on it just to see what was going on. And I created my Booktok account. And I think I created it in like July of 2019. But I didn't start posting until about December of 2019 because I'd only seen a few other people create bookish content. Some of them are Kathy Ellen Davis, Sarah Rosh. So I wanted to fill in the gaps and throw in some of my favorite books. So I started posting in around December of 2019. And then I didn't think anything would come of it because none of my previous book social media platforms had ever had anything come of it. I thought it would just be a fun thing I would do for a little while and then get bored of. But for some reason in March of 2020, one of my videos blew up, and then I've been posting almost every single day since.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think that's around the time that I found you. Because I made TikTok like early February last year in 2020, and I was just trying to figure out what it was, what the cool kids were doing, trying to find out, keep up with the times. And I remember finding one of your videos, and it was just like one of your book rec videos, and I can't even remember it now. But of course, some of the big major first run of books were in there, like Cruel Prince, Enemies to Lovers, Akatar was in there. And I kept seeing it and I was just like, what is this? And I remember reading years ago and I had dropped it. And I was just like, maybe it's time to pick it up. Because I'd gone through so many Netflix shows. I'd done all of that, gone through anime. And I'm just like, I need something else. And then I found your account and I was just like, books it is. Here we go. Best decision ever.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, no, I definitely I started my TikTok in like 2019, like June, July 2019, but I never like posted anything until I started trying to get onto TikTok and Star Wars, and I got my like lightsaber and stuff, and I was doing like lightsaber tutorials with like a broom handle. But those people still request those. Fun fact, they still request because people will like do them on TikTok, but like I did color guards. Like I know like how to do your wrist and stuff and how to show people how to actually do it. So but like I remember seeing like Mosh Trash, and then I started doing like the enemies to lovers stuff, and I think that's where I saw one of your enemies to lovers videos, and I was like, I like enemies to lovers. Oh, reading. I'm just gonna grab Throne of Glass, pick it up, see, oh, I need the next book. And then like I kind of spiraled because of TikTok. I've spent so much money. Behind me, all of these books I bought in this past year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, all of these books bought in the past year. So yeah, Grace posted a fun video about how much she spent.
I saw that video.
To be fair, because like everybody keeps asking me in the comments, like I keep getting so many comments of it. It's just like just on books, and I'm like, okay, look, I have some self-control. Okay, it's not just book. Okay,
You bought 3 editions of Blood and Honey. 3, Grace.
I forgot about one, and one I was gonna give away. Okay, don't come at me. Okay, look,
the same thing.
You know what? I do have to kind of point that back at you, Cait, because like I would not know about multiple editions if it were not for you.
I am so sorry for the damage I've done to so many people's bank accounts.
I like people will like post like editions of books, and I'm like, I have to have that. I have to. Like, I'm not gonna read the book, but I have to have it. I think that's the danger of Booktok is like you do it for the aesthetic. Like, this is all my TBR books. I haven't read any of these books on this side. I've read all of these ones. I haven't read. I have 70 something books, 80 books in my room at school. Have not. I like brought books, like a stack of books to bring that I've read to put on my shelves here. I still have too many to read. I can't finish them all. They're all for the aesthetic.
They're just to look pretty on the shelves.
They are.
I was just going through all the books. I try to like budget out which books I'm buying each month, and I was going through all my books for March and like placing the orders, and oh, there's so many bad decisions. I'm like, I just talked myself down. I was going to get 3 editions of Bonecryer's Dawn, and I'm just like, I love that book, but like it's not even one of my like favorites. I don't need 3 editions. I talked myself down. I'm only getting 2, and I'm proud of myself. But
That's very good.
4 editions of Chain of Iron.
Oh
yeah, it's hard.
I mean,
And then books come out with special editions years after, and then you're just like, well, I need that one too. But then it's also like, but I already have this one. And then there's signed editions, and then you want them to match too. So then it's just like, but I'm doing better now. So like our Violent Ends, just the pre-order links just went on. But I have the Fairy Loot edition, and I'm just like, well, if Fairy Loot's gonna do one, I'm not gonna pre-order. I'm gonna stop myself. Because I had pre-ordered before, but then I got 2 because of Owlcrate and Fairy Loot. Book subscription boxes are messing me up too. But I ended up doing one for our giveaway. So I do give back, okay? I do give back.
I too. I got Lore in January, and then I found out it was the Fairy Loot January thing. And I actually unboxed it today, but I was like, well, I might as well just do a giveaway with that one, and that's what I'm doing. But like from Blood and Ash, they have like Fairy Loot, you have Bookish Box, you have Illume Crate, you have all of these editions, and I'm like, I want them all, but I cannot have that many books, like of a single book. Like, yes, love the series, but I cannot have that many. Like, my parents would shun me if I had that many copies of one book series. They would shun me.
Yeah, I'm ordering them all, and I'm gonna regret it. But to be honest, I wasn't okay. So first they only announced the Bookish Box one, and I was like, well, I want a special edition of this book, I might as well get it. And then they announced the Illumicrate right around the same time, and I'm like, okay, I can get 2. Like 2's good. So I ordered the Bookish Box and all that, and then they announced the Fairy Loot, and instant regret. And you can't cancel from the Bookish Box. Otherwise I would and just get the Fairy Loot and Illumicrate, but I'm getting all of them. I may give the Bookish Box one away.
Yeah,
Did you get the box with the bookish box or just the books themselves?
I just got the books. That was my idea of self-control. That was like
I have no self-control.
that was my compromise.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I got the Fairy Loot and Ember in the Ashes edition. I got that for my birthday. My parents paid that for my birthday. It's actually coming in soon. Don't know when. But I bought Sky Beyond the Storm. So I'm like, I might as well just go to do a giveaway for that book because I haven't read it, haven't even opened it. I've refused to read the ending of that book because already got a spoiler for it. So I'm like, oh, I want to read the whole series again and then fall even deeper in love with it because it's one of my favorite series.
Me too. I ordered the Fairy Loot editions of that too, but I also ordered, I think, the Goldsboro editions of Sky Beyond the Storm and the normal edition. But I just like say it's all okay because I'll give myself some excuse. In this case, I'm just like, well, I named my dog after this series. I gotta have the different editions of it. I don't know why that is like the math there. That doesn't make sense, but that was my excuse for some reason.
Start writing it off as a business expense.
Honestly.
It's a business expense. You can do an unboxing video for all of them. You can do a compare and contrast video for all the From Blood and Ash books.
There we go. I do a monthly book haul every month, so I put them. Every book I buy is in a video, so there we go. Business expense.
Yep.
There you go. How you make your money.
There you go. It comes right back to you.
I'm not a certified CPA, so don't listen to anything I say.
Nope, I'm quoting you for this.
I am not a certified CPA. Don't.
The IRS comes for me. I'm blaming you.
Don't use books as a tax write-off.
Too late.
I mean, you could. I actually have done that a little bit.
You bought books for school, though.
No, those two. I did do them. My tax guy, he's very snazzy. But this was years ago that I did them, and he was able to add them. I don't know if we're going to be able to add all the ones that I got this year, but we'll see.
Money off of our bookish shop, a very bookish shop.
Yep. There you go.
That's coming soon. I just threw that right in there. I didn't even realize I said that. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, guys, for our listeners. We do have a merch shop coming soon, and you'll be able to spend more bookish money there.
There you go.
The amount of like money I've started spending on like boxes of like not even books, but bookish things.
Mm-hmm.
How can I spend this much money? Like I spent a ton of money from Fabled merch.
Yeah.
Love them.
I still haven't gotten my stuff yet because it was like a pre-order and I didn't realize that because they don't send like the order separately if like you bought something that they had in stock and then the pre-order, which the bookish box does. Thank God they do that. So I've been waiting for my package to come because I was like, oh, this is going to be a great Christmas gift to myself. I can open it all on Christmas Day. And I was like, it's February and I ordered that in November. Like, and I can't cancel it now because it's over the due date. And I'm like,
yeah.
Now you've committed.
You've committed.
I've committed to buying stuff and it's bad.
Okay, so I have a question. Now that we're talking all these special editions and stuff, what is one of your favorite special editions that you have, Cait?
Okay, this is tough. I love so many, but I think I love the Fairy Loot Cruel Prince editions. I just adore how it's just the naked hardback with the foil and then the stenciled edges. It's stunning. And I also just love the color green. So I was just like, yes, this is perfect. So I think that might be my favorite. I have to like stare at my shelves for a second. I also love the Waterstones Rune editions of any Cassandra Clare book. Admittedly, I don't have many of them because they're hard to get, but I have the, which ones do I have? I forgot. I have the Chain of Iron or the Chain of Gold one, which I really like. They're just pretty. I love a good naked hardback.
Yeah. Naked hardbacks are like they're so pretty and they just feel good in your hands.
Especially the Fairy Loot one, the Lore Naked hardback that it's like it feels like a snakeskin texture. I don't know why I was thinking that, but it feels like it's so luxurious, and for like the price that you get, like the book itself is like worth that price. And I'm like,
Mhm.
if this was selling at Barnes and Noble, this would be like $50+.
Yeah.
So that's why I go hard for bookish boxes, because the amount of money I can spend, I can write it off because I'm like, oh, I'm buying basically a book and everything else is free.
Exactly.
Because like a pin is like 12, 10 to $8 to $12 now. So like I'm saving money by buying it all in a box instead of buying it separately, Mom. Like, yes, I
Yeah.
spend $115 a month, but that's fine. I have different boxes I need.
See, I
That's
do that. And
that's
then,
a book reader's math logic.
yes. Yeah,
That's book reader's math for sure.
With a sprinkle of accounting.
exactly. I do that, and then I'll like convince myself, I'm like, oh well, if I don't like any of the items or anything, I can always like resell them, and just like then it's like I barely spent anything. I never resell them. If I don't like it, they just go on my shelf.
Oh yeah.
Your shelves are so beautifully decorated too. Like I think bending a little bit. I kind of noticed that. I was like, that's not straight across.
They're struggling.
How long have you had those shelves for?
Oh God, I don't even know. I think like 2 years. But so these behind me and my dad built. So they're not like the most well put together. They were me and my dad on a weekend going to Home Depot. But on the bright side, and they've only fallen on me once also. So
Okay.
I like how once is just okay. Like it's like they've fallen on me once. It's like, no, they've just fallen on me once. It's fine.
the books were fine. I was only slightly bruised. It's fine. But no, I am though. I have a new plan. I'm putting up new bookshelves. Hopefully soon. We were gonna do it this weekend, but who knows? So we'll take some of the weight off of those.
Okay.
They are a little dangerous.
How does it feel when somebody who doesn't know that you do book talk and stuff walks into your room? What do they say when they see your room?
I scare people. I remember I was friends with this guy, and I was telling him like, yeah, I really like to read and stuff, and we were talking, whatever, and he wanted to borrow a book, so I was like, okay, just like come on up, and he just looks around the room, and he's like, you have a few books here, and I'm just like, I collect. I mentioned that.
I warned you. I
try to warn people, but then also like, so I'll like show people pictures too, like if like they don't, because all the people I know live like an hour away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really see it in person often, especially with quarantine. I'm not seeing anyone. But before that, I would like show them like pictures and be like, yeah, here's my book collection. I like to collect books. And then it's very different though when you're in the room and surrounded by them. There is no free wall. It's a little overwhelming.
It's a little bit. It's fine though.
So,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen when you run out of space?
So that's our next concern. So we have a limited amount of walls in this room, but we are going to be putting up that one last bookshelf, and then that will be it. That is all the wall space. All of the available wall space will be gone. So once I fill that up, that's going to be a challenge. My parents so I live with my parents, and they have given me permission to branch out outside of my room, which is nice of them. They don't know what they promised.
No, they don't.
You
I might also do an unhaul, so who knows?
I mean, what's your oldest book that you have?
So the oldest one that I bought, like the ones like the first one I bought is like from when I was actually probably a gift from my cousin. I have like a really old Harry Potter book from like when they were first being published.
Mm.
But then I was also given gifts. So I have books from like, I think one is from like the early 1900s. That was just a gift. It's they did not take care of it, so it's not in good condition. So I feel a little bad for it, but that's probably my oldest book.
Same.
That's crazy.
I'm afraid to touch it, to be honest.
I know. I feel like I would like just the oils on my hand would just like disintegrate it, and it'd just be like, oh, like you touch it.
You have to white glove it as you turn each page.
Exactly.
Like if you guys remember like National Treasure, how they handled the Declaration of Independence.
That's how you read that book.
I could imagine like using like the tips of your fingers to turn it really slowly because it's so old. You don't want to like break it or anything. You're just like you can't breathe on it either. You can't breathe, so it has to be like held back, and you're just like.
I'm scared to even look at it. I'm afraid just like the weight of my gaze will cause it to crumble.
That's so hilarious. Okay.
What book do you have the most editions of?
Okay, so I think about this a lot. No, because I actually just filmed the video of it. It's The Cruel Prince. I have 6 copies, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the Fairy Loot, the Illumicrate, the Owl Crate, the Barnes and Noble, the Standard, and the Arc.
Oh wow!
So that's what I have the most.
Were you sent the Arc?
Yeah.
Wow, lucky.
That actually I got at BookCon. Actually, no, it was New York Comic Con. It was. I still don't know how I got so lucky, but I was just walking by the booth and they just like had a stack, and I was like, "Cool, can I take one?" And they were like, "Yeah," they were giving them away. And I was like, okay, cool. And I took it. But then I hadn't read any Holly Black books at that point. And I just heard it was coming out and some people were talking about it. But I was actually more preoccupied with the different books that they had arcs of. And I'm like, oh, are you going to be giving that away? Like, can I get that instead? And they're like, no, you have to come back for that. And that book did not get anywhere near the amount of hype The Cruel Prince had. But at that time, I was willing to trade The Cruel Prince for that.
What book was it?
It was Defy the Worlds, which was a sequel to Defy the Stars.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I still love that series, but it did not get the hype of The Cruel Prince.
I feel like I definitely read The Cruel Prince because of you. So I'm attributing most of the hype to The Cruel Prince because of you.
So
I did not know much about it going into it too. So it really surprised me, but I'm glad I read it.
I mean, can you talk a little bit more about BookCon? Because like I just came into the book realm, so like people talk about BookCon and like how they missed BookCon this year, and I'm just sitting here and like I've never gone to BookCon. What is BookCon? I know like Comic-Con's a thing, but I've never gone. Like, what is BookCon?
Okay, so conventions are my life, basically. Back before quarantine, I lived my life counting down the days until my next convention. So BookCon is a Comic-Con, but it's all about books. And it's usually in New York City at the Javits Center, which is also where they hold New York Comic-Con. It's just this huge building that I love. And so what happens is you get a bunch of authors and a bunch of publishers. You have all the publishers out on the show floor selling their books, and then they will also do giveaways of advanced readers copies, which getting an advanced readers copy at BookCon is you are going to a bloodbath. It's terrifying. I have had my life flash before my eyes. It is the most horrifying ordeal. I do it every year, but it's terrifying.
Fine. I do it every year. It's fine.
Yeah. They also have panels where there'll be authors speaking at panels. They'll even have there's been like booktube panels and stuff like that. They do meetups, and then they have author meet and greets and signings where you can have the authors sign the book. Sometimes the authors will be signing arcs, and those are less of a bloodbath. So those are the safest way to go. And it's also connected to Book Expo, which is an event that's the 3 days before BookCon, and that's limited to just people in the industry can go. I used to be able to go because I worked at a library, so that was my way to get into it. They also will let like limited amount of bloggers and booktubers, because booktalkers weren't there at that time. But so they'll let like them in as well, but like it's much harder to get in as one, and it costs so much more. Book Expo is a lot more laid back. you don't have to fear death when you go. Because it has less people and people are a little bit less cutthroat. But BookCon, I have so many stories from BookCon.
Oh, you have to tell us one. Tell us one.
Okay.
What's your cringiest one? Your cringiest BookCon moment.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Because there was the Stampede for the Wicked King. There was the time a wall almost fell down for Serpent and Dove. And then there's the time where I had a friend had her hair yanked back at a drop for American Royals. Oh, and then I also had a book ripped out of my hands once. So, quick rundown. The Stampede was
That was just escalating so much. I was just like, I just saw it step go. I was like, what? Dang.
So yeah, so they were dropping the Wicked King and they weren't telling us when they were dropping it. You had to follow their Twitter and get the notification when they tweeted, and then you had to be at the booth with the password to get it. But everyone knew that, so everyone had the alerts. So everyone at the con, this was actually a Book Expo, everyone at Book Expo was waiting, and you could tell the second the tweet went out. Everyone looked at their phone, stood up, left whatever line they were on, and started walking. And I was training a service dog at the time. So I had my service dog in training with me, and she was a small breed dog, which is a little nerve-wracking with crowds. So everyone started walking, and then they started jogging, and then they started running. And I was sitting here with my dog, and I'm just like, oh God, and I just scoop her up. And I'm just like, I have to protect her. And I ended up getting the ARC. I'm happy. But that was a little intense. And then also, a moment I was concerned for my dog's safety was at a drop for the Starless Sea. They only had like 20 ARCs, and it wasn't announced. But people knew it was happening, so people were like loitering, and the second the person holds them out, they're just like holding them on their hand like this. So everyone surges in. I remember going in and I had one in my hands and I was so happy. And I had picked up my dog too, because I did not want her getting injured. But you know, I was like, this is good exposure for her for working with strange environments. But then someone ripped it out of my hands. And I was just like, okay, I can either like try to be like, oh wait, I had that. But people were crowding in so much. I was like, this is dangerous. I have a dog with me. This will not end well. So I just like backed away and I'm just like, I'm out. I'm done.
You're okay. I'm fine. I don't want it. It's okay.
I'm still stuck on your friend getting her hair pulled.
Yeah. So that was at a secret drop for American Royals. And so they didn't say what book they were dropping. They were just saying we're dropping ARC of a book coming out next year. So everyone was like, oh, we got to be there. And the issue at BookCon is that they don't let people form lines early because it can block the walkway.
Right.
So they only let people form lines like 5 minutes before, which then leads everyone running to get in that line. And they will do anything to get their spot. So sometimes people will form an unofficial line early, and then that will just become the line, which when that happens, it's just easy. But this wasn't one of those situations. It was just a mob of people around the booth waiting. And then when it came time to form the line, everyone was running to get on it. And people were like pushing, shoving, not like pushing people out of the way. And so my friend had her hair in like a braid or a ponytail, I forget which. And she was telling me she had it yanked back by someone because she was trying to get in line. It's brutal. There was also for Serpent and Dove, a Serpent and Dove drop. Everyone formed an unofficial line, but we were told to leave because the unofficial line, they didn't want people blocking the walkway. So we were like circling. Everyone was circling. I didn't want to because it stressed me out and I don't like to go against authority. But everyone else was circling. So peer pressure. So I joined in. And they had like at conventions, they like have those like makeshift walls.
Yeah.
So there was like curtains and then like an alley, then a makeshift wall. And the line was going to be against the makeshift wall. So One person steps to where the line is, and everyone thinks the line's forming. Everyone runs. People were jumping through the curtain to get on, and everyone's pushing against the makeshift wall, and we just watch as it starts tilting. And then we're being shouted at to leave. So we're trying to leave, but more people are coming in from the other side. It's terrifying. The security had to come. Security came and was like trying to push everyone away from the wall. And I was just sitting there so like, I was shaking, so socially anxious. Just being like, I'm just here for a book. And there was like, some, I distinctly remember there being like a couple of like older men who were like arguing with the people working at the booth, being like, I'm not leaving my spot. I know how this works. And I'm just like, oh God. It was brutal.
So you're telling it's where I'm the Booktok community is brutal. It's what I'm just getting. It's brutal on every single platform. Even in real life, it's brutal.
It's so funny because like I've never been more terrified, yet so excited to go to something.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's just a constant adrenaline rush. Constantly fearing for your life, but having a great time.
Well, because they aren't having it this year, are they? They're not.
Right.
And so it'll be next year. So do you think they're gonna have book talkers on there as a panelist? Because you said they had booktubers, so would they have
I would hope. That's like my dream is that they would do that, but we're not even sure. So when they announced it closing for 2021, they didn't announce if they're coming back. They like were insinuating that they're retiring the event as a whole. But I'm thinking, my thoughts are that it's going to come back in a different form.
that would be losing a lot of money because now you have the resurgence of reading through TikTok and you have this big community. That's a lot of money they're losing out on. So
yeah, I think they're going to regret that decision, and they're probably going to bring it back. They may like rebrand, probably because of all the near-death experiences.
Right.
But I imagine they're gonna come back, and if they do, I really want them to do a book talk. Anything involving book talk.
well, because your major platform is Booktok. You have almost what? Let me check real quick. Last time it keeps growing. Every time I check, I have to like recheck because I'm like, wait. Is that right? Like, I'm pretty like you just gained 2,000 followers the last time I checked. Okay, so you're at 163,000.1K. So I said that wrong.
Wait.
And 100. That's the right number. 163,100 followers. I'm an accountant. I think that really adds to my chaoticness is that I get to add in anytime I get a number wrong. It's accounting things.
I do the same thing whenever I'm like trying to like see like how many pages I read. I'm just like, I can't do math, and I'm just like, I'm a math major, can't do math.
This discussion with my friend who's in my accounting class. I was like, yeah, I have to bring in a calculator with me, even if it's small. Like I will do 3 times 5 on the calculator to make sure it's right.
Yes. I'll be like doing differential equations, but then double checking what 2 + 2 is.
Like I will do like a whole income statement and a balance sheet and like with millions of dollars on it, but like I'll see like, oh, how many books am I gonna buy? Oh, I need to add this all up. Like I'm like like it's like $5 plus $3. Oh, I need to check that to make sure my $10 would cover that. No, it's funny because we're both, I guess I'm a different math major. It's math. Both of them are math. Yours is just higher level math, and I'm just like 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 times 2001. It's just that. But I totally understand that, but they are missing out on a ton of money because like you see like you, Eamon, what I forgot, Celine. We had Celine on. Like y'all are big creators on the platform with thousands of followers, and those thousands of people probably want to meet you, which is even scarier to think about.
I'm still not convinced they're real, so
We pay for them.
I think it's all an elaborate prank.
Everybody just made an account. It's like 10 different people making hundreds of accounts and just going to go follow.
I think it's like maybe my family's playing a prank on me or some friends. No one's real. It's
with my small following, like I can't even imagine meeting every single one of my followers versus you. It's like a stadium full, an overflowed stadium.
weird to think.
Like just
That's
imagine on the field and you're just like, there's so many people. Like I get anxiety just from thinking about it because I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I want to know that many people. Like I never want to see that many people in real life. Like
I get anxiety meeting one person.
I get anxiety thinking about meeting a person, like meeting a new person. Like I'll be introduced to somebody and I'm like, Carly, I'm too weird for this. I can't meet a new person. I can't. Like I'm so weird. And she's like, no, you're my little bean. I love you. Shut the fuck up. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
everybody's interesting.
It is. It's so funny. Because like you don't realize like all of these people, they're people who followed and who want to watch what you do and who care about those things and who remember little quotes and little things. Because like I'm part of our Discord group, but I had to delete Discord because I had to work and I was just always on it. I was like, I need a break. But like to the point where we had like that quote board from your live streams, like to be that determined.
There's so many concerning things on that.
I have a Discord, but it's just for my Barnes and Noble coworkers. So we have a Discord group chat and we have like memes, like we have the Scholastic Reading Fair is one of our boards. We have like so many different things, but it's like with my coworkers and stuff. And I was like, oh, I should do like a book, like get on a book one. And I was like, no. The amount of notifications I get from my regular Discord with like 6 other people in it daily. I can't do it with like hundreds of people in it. Like, no, I can't. Like,
because how many people are on the Bookington Book Club
I
Discord?
think we're at like 3,800.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And there's so many boards.
Oh
It's
my, I get
insane.
overwhelmed. And I create the like chats and I get overwhelmed by them. It's like, nope, can't.
It's insane. You have like your main group of people who are on at the same time as you, and you can like, you know, those are your regulars. But then there's people who are on at different, because it's all across the world. You get people who are like, oh, I'm just waking up at 7 a.m. and it's like 12 o'clock for you. And you're just like, well, I'm going to bed. You're like sailing ships in the night. And there's so many people on there that you just can't even fathom being on there. And so and then that's only on one board. You go to another one and there's a completely different group on that one. It's insane.
It's wild.
It's so fun though.
It is. I love it so much, even if it's like
anxiety.
a lot.
I can't. That gives me anxiety thinking about that right now. I'm like,
oh, yeah. That's a lot of people.
The amount of notifications I get from like like Canvas for school. Like the amount of
those should always come with anxiety because that's just school. That's an automatic. That's automatic.
We have to do like these like daily like Campus Clear app where we have to put in like our symptoms and stuff, and I haven't been doing them.
Terrible.
Oh, and I got a notification that I could get written up for, and I was like, I literally am a college student. I don't have the time. I wake up at like 8:39, and they sent the notification for like the daily reminder at 7 a.m. And so I get like 100 notifications after that. So I like just forgets my mind, and I'm like, I should probably start doing that again.
I probably do that.
I feel so bad with all of like I get like with all like the notifications, I try and keep up with all that stuff because I'm in school and I also work a part-time job and I also do freelance work and then I also run all the social media accounts. With all the notifications I feel so bad when like it's like 1 a.m. and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just saw this. My professors must hate me now.
Oh my gosh.
That's
If only they knew. If only they knew.
Yeah. I prioritized fangirling over a book instead of doing my math homework.
heavy is the head that wears the crown, Cait. It
Yes.
must
Without doubt.
Price that must be made.
Booktok queen herself. Bow down.
So
No.
then that kind of brings us to another question. Like, when you started seeing like the big influence that you had with social media, like how did it balance? Like, I know like we get stressed and we get like that overwhelmed with it, but like what are like some of the happiest moments that you can remember throughout your growth?
Like, I am not kidding when I say Book Talk saved my life. Going into like some darker subjects, trigger warning for depression and anxiety and stuff. I was in one of the worst depressive episodes of my life before my TikTok blew up. And when it did, it gave me the motivation to keep living every day. I was actually waiting to start a new treatment and insurance was taking forever. So it gave me the motivation to be like, okay, at least I know I'm helping this one person. I'll get like one comment from someone being like, oh, I picked up this book because of you. And I'm like, I got that one person to read that book, and that is an achievement. And that like pushed me through until I could start that treatment. So like, that's like the small happy moments. Like every single nice comment was amazing. There's also just been a lot of surreal moments. Like the first time I had a publisher reach out to me was I'd been working towards that for years with very little success. So that was just shocking. And I'm still in shock every single time a publisher or author will reach out to me for something, or if they'll answer my emails reaching out to them. I still don't believe it. I also got to moderate a panel with an author for source books.
Yeah.
And that was surreal. I could not believe that I was actually being asked to do that. I was like, are you sure you got the right person? I'm too anxious to even think about speaking to people, and you want me to moderate a panel? Like, it was surreal, but also such an incredible moment. And then like really just spending time with everyone I've met on it has been amazing. All of the times on the Discord voice chat.
Yeah.
All of the insanity that goes on there. And like having all of these amazing friends I've made through that. And just like having now my book club with Madison and Morgan, and like meeting with them once a month to just say we're going to talk about a book and then end up talking about whatever we feel like. It's just been amazing, and it's just all been surreal.
That's so sweet. And I think that that's just like a testament to like how important, you never know how important something is going to be that you do, because like I feel like a lot of us, maybe different scales of it, but I feel like at that time, early summer, spring of last year, we're in kind of hard, heavy places with everything going on in the world, or just in general. That's how we usually go on in the world. But then finding something and someone who is genuinely excited about something, you feel that excitement coming through. And I know everybody says it, but let me say it again, that your personality is so bubbly and so sweet, and you just like, you really brighten up our days, and you just like make us really, really happy, and we feel the love coming through. And I'm pretty sure that I speak for everybody. I'm not going to start crying, but if I do, ignore me. I'm pretty sure that everybody like has so much love for you, and you, as much as maybe we saved your life, you have probably saved so many other people's lives. And I just want to say, like, you are really important to all of us, and we love you very, very much. And we just thank you for showing us the love of books that you have and reawakened it in us. And yeah, sorry about that.
I'm gonna start crying. That, like, seriously, thank you. That just means the world to me.
Sorry.
I may not be crying, but I'm very emotional. I feel very uncomfortable when people cry. I can't hear people cry, so I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I cry, so I cry. I'm not unemotional, and I thank you very much for creating the Booktok community, because you are the OG. Because Booktok did save my life too. I started reading because of Booktok, and like found my favorite love of books back from Booktok and stuff. But I do want to say thank you for, you are the queen. We will bow down to you forever for creating Booktok. And like, I think a lot of like, we've seen the past couple of days a lot of the negativity that is spread across Booktok and stuff, but there are better times. There has been those great times in Booktok where we do get these spurts of negativity and stuff, and like I just think we focus on like the positivity and like recognize that the negative stuff happen and like progress and move on from that and like learn. I think a lot of the community needs to learn how to be more respectful to each other. I feel like that is a very heavy thing that I feel like with the background of like the internet and stuff and just typing behind a screen, a lot of not a lot of negativity is easily spread, and a lot of negativity likes to be pushed forward instead of like positivity and stuff. But kind of backtrack, I will go off on a tangent if I don't shut up right now. But we do want to say thank you, especially for coming on the podcast. Grace and I have a very, like, compared to you, I'm gonna say we have a very small following, and our podcast does not have a big following at all. So the fact that you even agreed to, like, I saw your note, I have the screenshot of when you followed me, and I sent it to the group chat that we have for our book club group chat admin, and I sent it, and I was like, guys, you will not believe what just happened. And I was like, oh my gosh. And like I have done that with like so many creators, and like when Epic Reads followed me back and stuff, I was like, ah.
The same thing when they followed me.
Yeah, I like it. Just it's those little moments that like really makes Booktok the best. And I will give all the credit to you because you are the queen of Booktok. I mean, we found each other through Booktok, and then we'll just attribute everything to you.
Yeah, it all comes back to that one video. It comes down to the algorithm, because thank goodness to them. Yes, the algorithm sometimes screws us over, but it did very, very right by opening up Booktok. Because man, so many people now, it's so big, it's so huge, and there's so many fans, and there's so many little mini communities in the Booktok community. You know, there's like the older groups, the older Booktok book lovers, and then there's the YA fantasy, and then there's the contemporary side, and we're just like all over. Like, I feel like each section of us has such a different personality, and it's so sweet and so funny to see them. And it would just be so cool to see actually how big it is, because I'm just like, oh, you know, you think it's big, but then when you really like think about it, you're just like, wait, we're way bigger.
It's like I like have friends from like other countries who I like follow and stuff, and they follow me back, and we like will DM each other, and I'm like, you're from another, like, yeah, I've like grown up going to other countries and stuff, like, yeah, but like I never like talked to another friend, or I never had internet friends until I came onto Booktok, and I like found friends. I found Grace through TikTok, and like it's just so weird because a lot of older generations like to shit on social media and likes to downplay the amount of influence that it actually has on our world, when it really, especially during quarantine, like really connected a lot of people and saved a lot of people. I think a lot of people fail to recognize that like whatever community you belong to, it really does help people creatively. I think like creativeness and like, yeah, I shit post a ton. It's always the shit post videos that go viral. Like I had like a really bad transition video of me putting on dust jackets for Six of Crows, and it got like 25k views, and I was like, that's the video you choose to make viral? The one I hated, but I just shit posted because I didn't know what else to post. And like a video before it, I put like effort into like the transitions and stuff. And I was like,
oh my gosh,
nobody's gonna like this. Nobody liked it. And then they're like, shit post. Yes, we love this. And I was just like, the algorithm sucks sometimes.
It really does.
I don't know where I was going with that. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so this is like a good spot to like add some of the questions that we actually have because we've been talking, but we haven't got to our questions. Let's see. What's the best place to get books that aren't too expensive?
Ooh, okay. So I'd recommend thrift books. That's always my go-to.
Mhm.
But also if you can, like that's just online, but if you can, library book sales, you will find like hidden gems there. And now they're starting to do them again because like earlier back in phase 1 of quarantine, they weren't really doing them, but now libraries are starting to do them again. And I found an arc of Twilight.
Wow.
You'll find some amazing stuff there, and you can get books for like 25 cents.
That's
Are they not
insane.
supposed to sell them though?
So with the arc, they were just giving it away.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool
I'm
though.
so glad I found it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Twilight arc. How was it different from the book by very much?
I
Or
never read it yet. I'm too afraid to. I literally got it like 4 years ago, and I'm just like, we're not touching it again.
That was me, to be honest. I have not touched Twilight since like my whole phase of like rereading it all the time back when I first found it. But I read Midnight Sun and I'm just like, okay, this is it. This is my revamp into my Twilight era because Midnight Sun was like written more adult, even though it's like the same story, it's still more grown up. And I'm just like, I appreciate that as like the 24-year-old that I am. I appreciate that you brought my love back up a little bit better. So it was nice.
I still need to finish Midnight Sun. I'm a little ashamed.
I
It's definitely good.
I did not finish the full Twilight series. I have not read Breaking Dawn, but I have read Midnight Sun. I refuse to read Breaking Dawn because the end of whatever book it is called, Eclipse, I hated Jacob so much. I boycott Breaking Dawn. I boycott him. I hate Jacob with a burning passion. Everybody's like, I love Jacob, and I'm like,
Jacob's a child.
child, Jacob is not a consent king. I do not support Jacob in any way. But kind of to backtrack to our next what are the best books to get you out of a long reading slump?
Oh, okay. So, like, my rules for that is like books that are light and fast and easy. So like contemporaries are like my go-to. Casey West just writes really straightforward, like YA contemporaries that you can read in like 2 hours. So they're always good. I'm trying to like think. There's so many different ones. Also, oh my gosh, Emma Lord, who wrote Tweet Cute. I adore that book so much. And then if you want to read like fantasies, I would also like recommend Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim and Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller.
I still have to read that one. It's on my list. Don't worry.
Both I have them. I just haven't read them. They're somewhere up here, which I'm not gonna look over there. We're not gonna look at my physical TBR.
Yeah, Denial's great. Let's stay there.
Yeah, that's what it is. We will get to it though, because I did read The Shadows Between Us and I fell in love with the writing style. So I just know her other two books are just going to be amazing.
I adore her.
We are going to do an episode for The Shadows Between. I think it's the next week's episode, which I still need to read.
It's so good.
It's so good.
We're doing The Shadows Between Us, and then spoiler alert, we're doing We Hunt the Flame, because We Hunt the Flame is actually going to be a TV adaptation, and I'm so excited for that. Like, We Free the Stars just came out in January, and I like saw it and I was like, I need that book cover. I need it just for the cover. I bought it just for the cover.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
But I tend to do that. I tend to buy books because of the cover and then end up never reading them. What I'm looking at, but so another question is, do you have to force yourself to get through a book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even like a book that I really wanted to read, and like at the end I'll still love it, but there's still points where I have to force myself. I like when I get in a reading slump, I get hit hard. Or like if I'm not feeling a book, it'll take me a lot. Like even right now I'm reading a book and I know I'm going to love it, but like just the first 50 pages, I'm just like, it's not the genre I want to read right now. And I'm trying to force myself to push through it a little bit more.
Yeah, I have that a lot with fantasy. I get a lot of reading slumps with fantasy books. So what I tend to do is I tend to read like a fantasy book and then I read like a romance book. I read like, because like there's fantasy and they have romance in them, but I'm like, I need just straight, mind my language, smut. I need just straight smut books sometimes because they have no plot. I'm literally reading it just for the smut, and then I can go back to my YA fantasy. And I just the best of both worlds.
That's literally what I do.
Yeah, like I read a lot of Kennedy Fox. I'm one of their arc people now, so I get their arcs, and I'm very excited for this because I love Kennedy Fox. Plot plus smut. So Cowboys, I'm done. I'm from Texas. I'm good. I'm locked into my favorite smut author is Kennedy Fox.
Oh, I've been hearing good things about them, so clearly not.
Both follow me on TikTok, and that is I will say this every single episode. That's my pride and joy that Kennedy Fox follows me on. Both of the authors follow me on TikTok.
When you get your favorite author to follow you on TikTok, you've made it. That's no matter how many followers you have, big or small. If a follower, like if an author likes your video, comments, it's like the world has like opened up and the sun is shining and the birds are singing. You've made it.
That's like, oh my God. The most surreal thing was when I was getting an author for my Pass the Book Challenge videos. And I emailed them, asking them if they want to be involved. And then they emailed me back and they told me that they first just said yes. Then they sent an email and they're like, hold on. I follow your TikTok. I love all your videos. I have like a second account. And I love your videos. You were responsible for half of my TBR. And when I tell you I want to cry.
That's so amazing.
I peaked at that moment.
I can never get any higher than this. This is it.
Yeah,
that was it for me.
You screenshot? Because I screenshot. I have like a file saved with screenshots of it. Anytime an author or a big creator likes one of my photos or likes one of my videos or follows me back, I have every single screenshot in a folder in my Google Drive. It's a very interesting.
I don't have a folder. I need to.
Because I want to do a TikTok video where I'm like, look at all the people who follow me, but I don't have like, I want to brag. I need to brag because I have like Kennedy Fox, I have you, I have Celine, I have like Six of Hoes. Pride and joy is that I know I'm funny enough for big creators to follow.
That's how you've made it.
I've made it. I don't need many followers. I just need big creators to like me.
That's like any single time someone like an author or creator I admire follows me back, I'll like screenshot it and then I'll send it to my friends. But the issue is none of my friends are on Booktok or know anything about books. So like Victoria Aveyard followed me. So I took a screenshot and I sent it to them and they're just like, neat. And I'm just like, how do you not know? Red Queen,
Realmbreaker, your box. I literally made a video. I was like, so me manifesting them sending it to me, and they were like, I'm sorry, we can't. And I was like, please.
So pretty.
I screamed when they emailed me about that.
That sounds so amazing.
I was in shock.
I gotta say, like the unboxing experience of some of these, like, you know, like the PR is like top tier with that because they just like put so much into it. And I'm just like, look, if I don't go into publishing, because who knows if I end up doing it or not. If I don't, I'll definitely jump to that side because do I love the world building and making all of these little cute things? Yes. So I might just do that. I might just forget graphic design and teaching art. I might just jump over to go do that. Make pretty boxes for people.
I mean, we will have a pretty box when our book finally releases, whenever that's gonna be. We will have a good box. We have certain things we want in that box.
We do. We're like, look, we're like maybe like not even like a eighth of our way into our book, okay? But we already know what kind of special edition, any type of like exclusive cover, what artists we want to design our fan art, who we want to make our bookish candles, what kind of little patches we want made. We have all of that planned out. It'll be an experience.
I'm a futurist. That's one of my personality traits. I'm a futurist, so I plan a lot in the future. But then I have multiple plans, so I'm becoming an accountant. I'm not going to be an accountant for the rest of my life. Like, yes, I love accounting, but I love writing books a lot more, and I like buying books a lot more.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I had like a mental health day a week back ago, and I just left class after class, and I just went on a drive around and went to like Barnes and Noble and like my local coffee shop and my local bookstore, because support smaller bookstores. And my friends were like texting me, they're like, Maggie, where are you at? Where are you at? And then she texted me, she's like, oh, you're at Barnes and Noble. You're okay.
I'm glad that you know that. Your friends know that that's your safe space.
Like they like looked at my location, because I shared my location with one of my friends, and like Carly, my roommate, she's like, where's Maggie? Where's Maggie? Because I wasn't answering her texts or calls. It's like, I really don't want to talk to anybody right now. And she was like, oh, you're okay. I was just like,
You're fine.
am I really fine? We'll just say okay.
They're just like, she'll just come back with like 50 books. It's fine. She'll find place for them somewhere.
I came back with 5. I limited myself. Okay, 3 of them, 2 of them were for the podcast. 2 of them were for podcast.
That's true. That's true. That is smart.
Now the Bold and Deadly is for the podcast as well.
Yes.
When we eventually get to that.
Eventually get to it.
I have it. I'm not reading it for like 3 months.
Okay, that brings me to a question. Like, I know that there are books that you have to read like within a certain time, right? But like, how do you balance the books that you have to read and the books that you want to read? How do you balance that? Because that's a question for me personally.
That's what I'm still struggling with. I just try to make the books I have to read the books I want to read. That's what I'm trying to work on, and what's taken me a while to get to is like, I'm trying to get to the point where I am letting myself say no to things if I feasibly can't do it, because there are only so many books you can read. And I want to read everyone's, but I'm struggling. So I'm like trying to only like request books that I know I'm super excited for and will want to read at any moment, and trying to only say yes to books I know I'm super excited for and will want to read immediately. But admittedly, that's not always the case, in which case I just read multiple books at once and use one as a motivator for the other.
Yeah. What's like the max that you've read at the same time at once?
5.
Sheesh, I can barely do 2. Barely.
There's only ever really 2 that I'm focusing on.
Got that.
Like the rest are like on the back burner, and like I'll try to get through those 2, then I'll switch to the ones on the back burner and then put new ones on the back burner, and that's basically how it works for me.
How many pages do you read in an hour? Because I've been on your lives where I like look at you and I'm like flip, I do 1 page and you flip through like 5, and I'm like, how fast are you reading? Because I know I have ADHD and I read pretty fast as it is. I listen to like audiobooks on like 2 to 2.5 speed, and that's like normal. That's normal for me.
It is.
So I read about like 100 pages an hour, depending on the book. That's like my fastest. And then like some books, if it's like really flowery writing with heavy world building, that's like 50 pages an hour.
Yeah. Because those, like, you can skim through it, but then you're just like, I let me go back and read that again. Definitely agree with that.
Read each page like 5 times.
Yes.
Especially with world building, it's hard because like you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense, and then like you read it and like, oh, okay, I'm just dumb, and then you continue going.
Yeah. Usually I'll like read through something really quick, and then like I'll get later on, I'm like, they didn't set up for that at all. Like, what does that mean? And I'm just like, oh, I just skimmed over it. That's just my fault there.
Because when you read too fast, sometimes you just skim over things.
Yeah.
Like where I've like skipped a whole like page, and I was like, wait, I didn't read this at all.
I missed the whole character introduction. I was just like, wait, who is this person? I was like, oh, it's their uncle. Never mind.
But yeah, it's like that TikTok sound. Like, wait, who are you?
Maybe that's another TikTok video you can do now.
gosh. So
Another
funny.
question is, any tips for growing a following on WordPress?
Oh, okay. That's the place I'm the worst at. Okay.
Okay.
I really am. So the main things I've learned, which are things I don't stick to, unfortunately, have a schedule and stick to it. I don't do that, but I know people who do, and they do amazing. So if you just post like at least once a week, like if you could post like 3 to 4 times a week, that's like incredible. But at least once a week is good. That's what I struggle with. And try to stay consistent. Also, it's great to do a mix of types of posts. So if you're running a book blog, like if you do your normal reviews, which are what the publishers want us to do, but admittedly what no one wants to read. No one reads the reviews. They do not get you views. So you do some reviews, and then you also throw in some discussions, talk about some relevant things happening in the book community or any thoughts on current trends in books. And then also throw in some recommendation posts. Those usually do pretty well. And then also cross-post them to any other social media. Get on whatever social medias you feel comfortable on. Twitter and Instagram are usually the biggest two for bloggers. Twitter is one where there's a lot of bloggers on Twitter that I know of, and cross post them there, or Tumblr too. And that will also help get more people in.
Nice. Cool. I'm going to be the one to say this. I do not know what WordPress is.
I just looked it up. I just looked it up too. And that's why I was looking down and typing. I was like, I don't know what WordPress is, so I'm just gonna...
Because I'm just like, this sounds so intense. What is this?
Yeah, I was so confused. I was just like, I don't know if y'all saw, but I was just like looking down, typing. I was like trying to read what it was. I was like, I'm just gonna play it cool and just be like, yeah.
Because I'm like nodding along and I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow. Like there's a lot that you can do on there. First of all, I'm barely keeping up with my Bookstagram as it is. That's intense, but that sounds like more book related because it just seems like you can do so much more on it.
Yeah.
But the problem with like those and social media, like any social media, you have to stay consistent with it. And if you're not, and you have to use all the like Instagram is like, their whole algorithm is always changing and always like messing up. And it's just like being consistent and using all of the features possible on there because they want you to use whatever features they have on it. And that's like a really big thing with them pushing your content out too. So I know it's hard. Yeah, for sure.
Algorithms confuse me, and I'm a math and computer science major.
It's just...
I mean, like the Instagram algorithm isn't based off of likes anymore. It's apparently like your shares and your saves.
Your saves.
I never save a post, so
I always save a post.
I save them now. I will like if I have a friend, I save their post because I'm like, and then I add it to like this is for Grace, and like because like, but like never before like, on my regular Instagram I don't save photos because I think it's weird if like you had like a personal like Instagram and people are just saving your photos and you're just like,
Yeah.
what are you saving them for? Like,
Okay. To be clear, I do not save people's pictures. I save their book stacks, fan art, merchandise, things like that. If it's just like somebody with them at the park sipping a coffee, I'm not going to save that unless there's like a specific info in the caption, then I'll save it for the caption. But other than that, like I have, because I'm making my way through Throne of Glass finally, and I have a folder of like if I see a Throne of Glass something, I'm like I have no idea what's on there. I'm like save to collection, save to Throne of Glass. So when I read Throne of Glass, I can get through all of this and not lose that quality memes or whatever. And the same I do with any other series that I find or that I have already that I want to read. I'm like save to this folder, save, because I want to know what they're talking about in that post, but I never do until I finally read it. And then I get it. Then I just scroll through. It's fun.
to keep it moving forward, what is your favorite and least favorite thing about being a book influencer?
Oh, well, first off, it's so weird to hear myself as a book influencer. That's still never gonna get used to that. But okay, favorite things, all the people I meet. Like all of the other creators I've met, and been able to talk to, be friends with, do stuff like this. Like, all of that is just so fun. I'm very much an introvert, but also I love the idea of people and meeting people like me, so it's just very fun. Without also having to leave my house is super nice. And then I also love being able to work with authors and like get their books into the hands of readers who will love them and help people get into reading, and knowing that I'm helping someone with something that's all I ever want in life, and to know that I'm able to do that is incredible. So yeah, that's probably my favorite things. And then least favorite, I think, this is tough. Okay, I think the hardest part for me personally, at least I know me right now, is dealing with the algorithm and then putting too much self-worth into the numbers. I'm a math and computer science major. I'm a very analytical thinker. And then also with my history of depression, I immediately think the worst. So for whatever reason, if the numbers aren't doing well, I always like immediately think it's like a reflection of me, that I messed up, that like I'm not good enough for whatever reason. So trying to detach myself from that mindset and detach myself from the numbers is probably the hardest part and the worst part. Because also now, with like when you have a platform, other people can see you, which is terrifying, but they also can see your numbers, and publishers are looking at your numbers, and those numbers mean things if you want to continue doing what you do. So it adds so much weight to it, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, I think that that's something that people often forget, is just like, you started this, like, to anybody, you started this because you wanted to have fun with it. You had a good time making these videos. You had a good time interacting with people. But then at a certain point, you can see it on certain accounts, where at first they really love the content that they were making. And then at some point where you didn't feel that love in what they were doing. And I always tell people this, like, people ask me, like, any tips for like posting content? And I'm just like, just post what you like, post what makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel like you would like it. Like, I get people asking me, like, how do I grow my Bookstagram? My Bookstagram is not big by any big means or anything.
Just hit 1,000 followers. That's big. Don't
That is big.
I
Did. I don't think it's that big.
was the one who sent it to you. I was like, you hit 1,000 followers. Congrats. And she's like, oh. Like, you not know? Like,
That's true. That's true. I guess because I try to get myself to not focus on it too much. And that's what I tell people too. And I'm just like, people, there's so many different types of Bookstagrams out there, and so many different types of styles. And it's just like, if you don't feel like you can stack up a nice, pretty book and have all of these things around and take a good picture and edit it, don't do that. Post a picture of you going out with your book, doing what you do. If you go to the park a lot with your book, take your book with you, take a picture there. It's not putting that pressure. And that's something that we do ourselves. We put that pressure on ourselves. Like, nobody's really telling us, you have to do this for your content. You have to do this so that I can like your photo. But then we do that.
they do. Now people are starting to do it.
Sometimes they do. Yes, they do. But
I know what you mean.
Easy, keeping it nice and keeping it fun. Don't put too much pressure on it. That's the main thing.
That's so true. You have to remember that you're in it to have a good time, to share your love of books. And in the end, what other people think of what you're posting shouldn't really matter as long as you're happy with it. That's what I have to remind myself all the time.
Yeah.
If you ever need a reminder, just message me, and I'm just like, Cait, do you really like this post? If you didn't like it, then post it. Like, Celine is always asking things in like her Snapchat group. She's just like, what do you guys think of this video? And I can immediately swipe up. I'm like, yes, it's amazing. Yes, it's so good. It's so funny. It's so sweet. Everything. Cause like, you need that mental, excuse that. That was my Star Wars X-Wing fighter ringtone. Yes, what was I saying? That voice in your head. That voice in your head.
That's all I can think about, either Star Wars.
just love Star Wars.
Do you guys want to hear something funny?
Yes.
My ringtone is the X-Wing fighter sound. Yes, it is. It's very scary and people are always like jump at it, but I'm just like, how else are you never gonna find your phone unless you have a ringtone that makes you go for it? But my dad's ringtone is special. My dad's ringtone is the I am your father from Darth Vader.
Nice.
Hold on. I have to play it for you guys because it's my pride and joy. Anytime that my dad calls me, I'm just like, yes. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you guys can hear it. That's every time he calls me, I'm just like, yes, Dad. Hello.
That's amazing.
That's kind of amazing. I was just gonna add on top of what you were saying is like that's why I end up just shit posting sometimes because it's so much fun to just shit post and you just put out content and I'm like, oh, me just like talking about like this fake pornographic photo that I really it's not pornographic. It's just Rowan's butt, but it's still like for TikTok standards, it's a lot. And like I'm just like, oh. And then everybody's like, oh, yes, me too. And I'm like, oh, glad we're vibing on the same level.
That just reminds me, my favorite thing about TikTok in general is the stuff people will roll with. I now have in my live streams, people are worshiping my cup as a god.
Oh, yeah. And you need to have your cup in every live stream that you do. It's hilarious.
Or like one time I just said snakes.
And then it just took off.
Just like, hey, does that book have snakes? The amount of stuff people roll with brings me so much joy. You really can be as weird as you want, and there's someone who's there to match your energy.
Yes.
Amen. Hey girl. Asked your one author you could have a dinner date with, who would it be?
Oh, first off, just to say, love Eamon. Eamon's the best. Okay, but author I would have a dinner date with. Ooh, who? There's so many authors I love. So I'm torn between two. Hafsa Faisal, because we all know my obsession with We Hunt the Flame. And she's also just such a nice human being. That, yeah, I would just love the chance to talk with her. Also, Renee Ahdieh. I have read all of her books. I will never stop reading her books. Not a single book of hers has been a miss for me. Like, I just want to know how her mind works. So those are probably the two authors.
Yeah,
I gotta say, like, we did like the writing conference for like y'all write. Yeah. And when we were like, Maggie gave me the link for us to sign up. And when we signed up for it, like we both automatically, when we saw Renee, we were just like, we have to sign up for that one. We have to sign up for that one. And she was just like so amazing. And she just gave so much great info. And I was just like, yes. Because she did I think she did the enemies to lovers. And I was just like, I have to.
No, it was her and Saba to hear, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. I will definitely be that. But it was an hour of just fangirling, basically. I mean, information they gave us, great. I wasn't paying attention. I don't remember. I was just looking at them.
Yeah.
It was so fun though. It really was.
That's why I do panels at like BookCon. I'll just fangirl the entire time.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to anything unless it's like releases that are gonna come out, because you know that you have to get those. But everything else is just like, oh my gosh, they're there.
I actually met Renee Ahdieh once at BookCon. And she was doing a signing, and then I also won a meet and greet thing. And both times, just the entire time when I was listening, I was like, hi, I really like your books. And that was it. And then like she hugged me at the meet and greet, and I was just like, you're really cool. I love your makeup.
Her eyeliner is always so amazing. She did like a live stream once with like with Shelby, and they were like going through their makeup, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So perfect.
I don't know how they do it. They're just so amazing.
They really are.
Kind of to keep going through these questions before we have to end. What is your favorite book aesthetic?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Oh,
But book aesthetic.
so like, but there's so many different ways this can go. So like, we're talking like dark academia type aesthetics there.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, okay, some of my answer might be dark academia. I'm trying to think of like what the aesthetics I read a lot, what would they be called?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, are they just trying to ask if you like dark academia? Because
I love dark academia and cottagecore. Like overall normal aesthetics, dark academia and cottagecore. What I read the most, whatever you would call like dark court, like political court intrigue. I love that kind of stuff. I don't know what aesthetic that would be called, but that's it for me.
I do too. Honestly, we need that, like, I need that political struggle in a book. And it needs to be a little hint of a royal or like and I need that. I need that in a book to like really be invested into it. Just because who wouldn't want to be a royal? I mean,
Covet by Tracy Wolf is coming out soon. I have that pre-ordered and I'm waiting for it to come in. It's next month. Is it in March?
March 2nd.
Yeah.
I'm getting it next week.
We have
week of February.
10 days from when we're filming this right now.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's so close.
We are so close. I have it pre-ordered. It's shipping to my. I can't wait for that. Like I won't spoil it for Grace, but the ending of the second book, I knew it was gonna happen. I like saw it like after he first showed up, and then the ending. I was like, when he like said that, I was like, I knew it. I knew it because he was acting so weirdly. I was like, and then they foreshadowed it when they were like, oh, there could be more of them. And she was like, what? And he's like, yeah. And then I was like, oh my gosh, foreshadowing. I called it. Sorry, Grace, you have no idea what we're talking
about. But I do have to say this. I'm very proud of you, Maggie, because like your run around talking overall skim through has gotten so good that I literally have no idea what that was, but I'm so interested.
But Cait knows exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Okay, I have to say, so I was by some miracle lucky enough to be given an early copy of Crush. So they sent me an ebook and I had to sign an NDA. I wasn't allowed to talk about it. This was my first NDA too. It was really cool. My first, as if I've done a million. But have I done any others? I don't think so.
You're one and only.
Oh, I have. I did one more. I did one more for now. Okay. But so I had to sign an NDA, and it was like so cool and so like secretive, and I couldn't talk about it. I had a date where I was allowed to talk about it, and I could not say anything. So I read it, and I read that line, and I had to sit there, and I had to do a live stream that day, and I had to be like, so I finished Crush because I was allowed to say that, and everyone was like, how was it? And I'm just like, I can't say. And it was torture.
I think I remember that live stream because like you guys were like, because it was you and Madison, you guys were just like, we can finally breathe.
Yeah, we were dying. I was texting Madison the whole time I was reading it, and I was just like, why did you do this to me?
I mean, it was so foreshadowed that I knew it was gonna happen. But like when he said it, I was like, yes, my dreams. I was like, yes.
Oh my god.
What happened before the game? And I was like, oh, that was too fast for me for it to happen. And I was like, fuck. Yeah. And then I was like, he's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? I'm very proud of myself for not reading it. I know that it's going to be very important to me because like my bread and butter is vampires and werewolves because that's like the first books that I ever picked up. My first book that I ever picked up was Twilight back when I was 13. And so like that's like always like home to me. So anytime it comes up in any book, that's why I loved From Blood and Ash, because when it came out, I was just like, me. But like everybody's talking about how it's like Twilight, but better. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can take that. So I'm gonna wait a little bit until more of them come out.
What book? The last book comes out.
So then when it comes out, I'm going to like flip out and just like get all of them and just like go through them and just soak in and throw myself back to being like a little teenager and falling in love with vampires and just it just being so much more better.
She's writing them fast. The fourth book is coming out in September.
Yeah.
So
And-
close.
And I'm like, Grace, like you can just read them all.
I know. That's my plan. That's my plan.
I pre-ordered Covet for less than $10.
Yeah.
I got it for less than $10. I got it for like $8 something. And this is a hardback.
Wow. Teach me your ways.
And see, like now my thing is that they're gonna have all of them because I know Target does like a special edition for it. And so I'm just like, do I want the Target special edition or do I want another? And I'm just like, because as we've discussed previously in this podcast, we love special editions. And I'm just like, do I want the Target one or do I want like another one? Or is there gonna come up with like, are they gonna do like, is Fairy Loot gonna do like a whole series of just like them and do special editions of them? Do I wait for that?
I would get it because like I get them off of Amazon. And I get them for less than $10, which I don't know how that's even legally possible, but we're not gonna it's something that isn't illegal but feels illegal. That's what that is. But because they go on sale like 2 weeks before, and that's what I've done. And I did it for Crave, it was like $7, and then Crush, I think was like 11 something dollars. And I was like, I might as well. But like I put on in Barnes and Noble, I did like the employee shout out thing. And I was like, Twilight, but with more fantasy and better plot. It's what I put for it. And it sold out like within a day or two of me putting that up there. And I put it on like one of our like YA fantasy table reads, and it was gone.
Nice.
I'm waiting for the TV adaptation.
The power
Of a Barnes and Noble employee holds.
Now, see if you like the vampire stuff. Have you read Velvet by Temple West?
Okay, so I have that on my list and it's very high, but as you know, I'm cutting myself off with purchasing things because I need to feel like I am a little bit responsible after that last video. And so it is like literally the third book on my next purchase list. I know, I feel it. And I want the vampire stuff because so like my reading is lately has been a lot of catch up. So I'm catching up with Throne of Glass. I'm catching up with like We Hunt the Flame, other books that are coming out or coming out with sequels, books that people have read, Six of Crows. I know I'm getting there. Don't worry. And like books that people have read before, like during that hype of Booktok that I never read because I'm just like, it's too much pressure around it. Let me read it when no one's talking about it so I can read in peace. But the new wave of books coming, I feel like, you know what I feel like? I feel like it's like you're standing at Hoover Dam down at like the river and all of a sudden you see the rocks coming apart and the water is just breaking through and the flood of water is just coming at you and you have nothing to do but just stand there and take the hit. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I was not gonna calculate how much I spent. Videos, I was like, I'm not gonna look because I have like a stable job on campus, and so I had adult money to spend.
Adult money is different.
Adult money is terrifying.
But I have like an actual like because I wasn't allowed to like work in high school. My parents are really strict. And so I like never had like a job. Like I got a job by myself and then told my parents that I got a job last semester of senior year until like I left for college. But this is like a job where I go to every single day basically. It's on campus, so it's really close to my room. It's like 500 feet from my dorm room. Perfect for me. But I like have to like I now like my mom looked at my finances and she was like, Maggie, what the fuck are you spending money on? And I was like, and she's like, and then she comes into my room and she sees this. She's like, that's where your money has gone? And I was like,
Hey, it could, as many people have commented under that video that I posted, it could have been spent on drugs.
It could have been
That's what I tell my parents all the time.
like, you better be glad I never did drugs, or I was like, I never like snuck out of the house. I never did any of that as a child. Let me spend my money. Like, I do save. I do put money like into my savings. Like now my mom like was talking with me. I put 50% into savings. I 10% is like my spending money. So I get like $140 a month to spend on books. So that's like books, subscriptions, anything. Um but I cut down my hours. They cut me down on my hours, which I didn't like. So I was working like 20 hours a week and sometimes like 40 hours every 2 weeks, and they were paying me good. And I'm not getting that now. And I'm kind of like at my boss, I was like, hey, I need to buy books. Put more hours in for thankfully like 3 people quit, so I'm good. But I had to like my mom had like the talk with me, and I was like, I know. Like, I know. I see it draining my bank account, Mom. I see it. I don't care. It makes me happy.
I'm so happy that my parents have no idea how much I spent. They just like, where are you getting all these packages? And I'm just like, hey, don't worry about that. Just give me the package and that's it. And to be fair, I do save money. Okay. I recently just bought a house. So my money's smart. I don't buy anything else. I don't go anywhere else. I don't really eat out, spend money, as though Maggie may say differently, because every time we're on FaceTime, it seems like I'm going to go get food. But
Wasn't gonna say that. I mean, like, fast food is different because like fast food is like $5 a meal or something like that versus like where you get that reminds me, I'm gonna go to Sonic after this to take my my mother can pay for Sonic because I want some ice cream. That's just a reminder I need to put it in the back of my head. Like, okay, there's a difference. Like, my roommate wants us to go out to like brunch and stuff every week, and I was just like, Carly, I'm not. I can't. I can't. I do you see my bank account? It all goes to books. I don't buy clothes. I don't buy like my parents had to literally buy me new shoes because my Converse were coming apart. Like I posted a TikTok of it and I had to like put the canvas back into the rubber because I had them for so long and I would not buy myself new ones. Like my parents have to buy me new stuff because my dad cannot look at me in the eye if I have like a hole in my shirt or something, and I'm like, it's fine. And he's like, have a hole in your shirt. I'm getting you a new one. But I will spend books. I will buy a brand new book. I'll buy multiple brand new books of the same copy. So
I literally do the same thing. I have one pair of boots that I wear every day with every outfit. And then every year for Christmas, my parents get me the same boot, different font. Every year because I'll have holes in it and it'll be a mess. Only since TikTok did I actually start buying clothes, and that was because I felt like I had to look good for random people on the internet.
same, because I'm just like, I've literally filmed a TikTok with this shirt like maybe 5-6 videos ago. I need to put on a different shirt. Wait, I don't have another shirt. They've seen this shirt so many times. That's me.
I can get away with it because I wear a lot of sweatshirts, or like I wear this sweater, but I wear a lot of shirts underneath it because I live in Omaha. So it's like it's been like -40 feeling like that for like this past week. So like I can get away with wearing like a sweater because I'm like I have a t-shirt underneath it. But I wear like the same outfit weekly. Like I just put it in my laundry basket, go downstairs, wash it, and then bring it back up, put it in the exact same spot, and use the exact same clothes. It's so easy. I don't have to think about like my roommate will be like, "Hey, like, can you help me pick out my outfit?" And I'm like, I wear the exact same clothes weekly, and you're asking me what you should wear. I'm gonna just tell you to wear something you've already worn.
And you're just like, you know what? I just want to be comfortable too. Like that's all we want. And like we're not going outside. We're not going anywhere. So who cares?
I'm wearing the Bookish Box joggers.
They're so comfortable.
I've been wearing them for the last 4 days. Reese, I wear them like I literally wear them so much that like the pockets are starting to rip because I wash them so much. and I wear them so much. I live in these, and I need to get a new pair. Multiple pairs.
You do. It's fine. It's fine. It's where it matters because you use it. That's how we write off anything. Do we use it? Do we read it? Could it be spent on drugs? Okay, it marks all three of them.
No, but like definitely check out buying the Bookish Box joggers because they are comfy. I got the ones that say "Read like a girl" that they sent to us. Amazing. I am in heaven. My mother is getting annoyed by how much I wear. Like every time I come home from like school and she's like looks at me, she's like, "Why are you wearing those?" And I'm like, "They're comfortable." I'm like sitting in the car. I don't want to like wear like leggings.
Yeah, that's true.
Freewheel and put on some sweatpants. Like so.
I just give my parents get so confused because I have like a section of clothes that I've deemed my filming clothes, which are like what I think are like stylish or like have an aesthetic, or I think that I like them, whatever. So they're in that section. And then I have my normal clothes. Like, I feel like people on TikTok would be so confused if they just saw my everyday outfit, which is like sweats and a Bookish Boss t-shirt. But my parents get so confused because I'll like put on like all makeup, have my hair done, and I'll be wearing like a mini skirt with like over the knee socks and like a crop top and like look so put together. And my parents will like see me and they're like, okay. And then I'll disappear for 5 minutes, stop filming, and then I'll be in like sweats and a baggy t-shirt. And they're just like, yes.
That's Cait. There you are.
Yeah, my dad will be like, "Oh, who are you going to go see?" And I'm like, "No, they don't know about this podcast. They don't know about my TikTok. They don't know about my Bookstagram. I blocked them on my Bookstagram, because I was like, I don't want you to see how much money I spend." They got a separate debit card so that they could not see how much money I spent.
Hiding.
Sometimes I wished I blocked my parents on my TikTok, but I didn't. And they've seen all of my kissing the coronavirus videos.
Oh my gosh.
My mom commented on them.
How was that book?
Oh God. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece of art. No, it's honestly hilarious. But I unfortunately was quoted in the New York Post and in Daily Mail. My review was quoted in both of those.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I'm known for. My mother sent those articles to my extended family. My mom's friend, who she told about this, now just refers to me as the dirty girl. I don't even curse in front of my parents. They don't know about any of my dating life. They don't know anything, but they learned that I've read coronavirus erotica.
I think that's so funny because my parents, I read J.R. Ward, the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and my dad saw one of the covers, and I had to like hide it from him. I was like, "What are you doing? What are you looking at?" And he's like, "What book are you reading?" I'm like, "None of your business." Because like you don't talk about that stuff with your parents. Like you don't. And like my mom, I've like looked at some of the covers. I have them like under my bed because she kept them in the basement. And I was like, "Oh, I want to read some of the books my mom read." And I opened the page. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't look at my mother the same." Because she would read these like as we were like at the park or something. And I'm like, I understand now because I will do that too. Where I'll just be like in class, like on Wattpad on my phone. And people are starting to notice now because they know what Wattpad looks like now. And so I'm like on like Wattpad reading, and then somebody like a girl like looked over, and she's like, "What are you reading on Wattpad?" And I was like, 202. You do not need to be asking me about Wattpad. You need to be asking me about accounting and an income statement. Like it was really funny.
Oh, sorry. It's because my parents, my mom and my aunt, they're gonna go to our new house because we were shopping for things and I was supposed to go pick out paint, but it's fine. It's fine.
I'm more important.
Yes, you are. You are.
It's funny. I like to say that to people who are my best friends. I'm like, I'm more important. And then my roommate's like, yeah. And her boyfriend has just accepted that I'm more important. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm fourth in line on her important list. I'm like, yeah, I brought you to.
I do the same thing with my friend. He started dating this guy, and I'm just like, just so you know, I come first. And both of them are like, yeah, you do.
Yeah. It's like a mutual understanding. Like, yeah, of course. Like, of course.
That's just the rule.
If I was to die and he was to die, you'd come to my funeral first, not his.
For sure.
No, but
I have one final question to kind of wrap us up.
Okay.
Through all of like the negatives that we have seen on Booktok and how people can be, what is one of your one hopes that you could see come to life through Booktok?
I'm hoping there's like so much going on with it, and I have like so many like things that I hope we will see. But I think one of the major things is that we will learn to have these really important conversations, and we'll learn to have them in trying to think of the right word. I don't want to say like respectful, but yeah, kind of respectful. We'll learn to be able to discuss these things that are so important to discuss, but also learn to understand other people's boundaries, to respect others when having these discussions, to like there's no situation that warrants death threats. There's no reason you should ever be misgendering someone. Like I'm hoping that people will learn how to have these conversations that can be uncomfortable, that can be hard, that can just be a challenge for some people, and to still maintain basic human decency. Unfortunately, but no, I feel like a lot of people in Booktok are younger, and this is their first time really getting into this discourse. Like, I was on Tumblr in 2012. I lived through all these fights before. So I've learned my lesson, but a lot of people haven't yet. So I really hope people are learning how to engage with this discourse in a more productive manner.
I've noticed that too, where I notice a lot of accounts where I'll look at their comment and I'm like, okay, let me see how old they are, and I like notice I'm like, oh, you're a minor. Okay, like I remember being 16, I was stupid. Like I'd say the dumbest shit, and I would not say it now. Like, sorry for my cussing. I don't know why I've been cussing so much this episode. I'm so sorry. I never cuss this much. I think of just fire, burning passion for the fact that a lot of like you would think like, oh, I'm this young, I know everything, what's supposed to be right, what's supposed to be wrong, and then you don't realize as like a child, like you don't realize like, oh, me sending somebody a death threat, you don't think, oh, that actually like has like weight to them. You don't think that when you're sending it. But it actually does. It has weight, especially for people who suffer with mental health issues. Like I have suffered through mental health issues, and if like somebody told me to kill myself, I'd be like,
Yeah.
God didn't want me. He made me stay here. Sorry. I joke.
He tried.
Yeah, I said that I tried. He said no. Even Hades was like, no, we don't want you.
Someone came on my live stream and told me to kill myself, and I was just like, tried that before, didn't work out. Guess I was too powerful for him.
I'm like, they're too scared of me there. Like my ADHD and chaoticness would destroy the underworld. Like Stephanie, move aside. Hades would be mine, and I would rule the underworld. Hades would become my bitch. We're quoting that. Hades would become my bitch. We usually do like little of quotes for the episodes.
That'll definitely be one.
That needs to be merch.
It does.
We're gonna get a pin. It's gonna be like a little pomegranate. It's gonna be like Hades.
Yes. For sure. That'll be it.
I don't
We'll
know.
send you one, Cait, for sure.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Pick it up. But like, I definitely think that the older generation on TikTok, we have a more of a discussion. We leave that line open, like, you know, that telephone game with the cup and the string. We leave it open to hear the other side, to understand and to respect, though I can see your viewpoint. It's not mine, but I understand it and I won't attack it anymore, but it's still not my choice. Like I can have a different disagreement from Maggie and she can have a different lifestyle, a different view, but then she would never disrespect me or my views. And we can still be the closest of friends, you know. And it's that understanding, that openness. That's why we read these books. We read these books to open our minds, to see different understandings, to see different characters in different ways. And you know, the whole Black, Indigenous, person of color needs to be in more books, and we need to see that. We need to see different types of diversity, but it's not just the main two of the LGBTQ plus and the Black, Indigenous, person of color. We need to see more diversity. And I feel like people often forget that. The younger generation forgets that's not it. That's not the two pillars that we stand on. There is so much more out there, and you guys need to open your minds and see this. And then we have to remember they're very young, and they don't know what the world holds for them. I mean, half of their life has been in quarantine. They don't know what else is out there. And I feel like it's our job as like the older generation is to keep conversations open and to kind of teach them how to come across people differently and more respectfully. But then also just, we all love books. Let us love books. Let us read. Let us enjoy it. Let us escape, because there's too much wrong in the world that we don't need to come at each other.
I agree with that. I do use escapism, and I read. My sister just knocked on my door. I use books to like escape, and that's how I got through like last time, like the beginning of quarantine. I had a really hard time, and then I started reading Throne of Glass, and I was reflecting on what happened a year past that, and like Throne of Glass really helped me through an episode that I was going through, and it like really helped me. But like I don't talk about it because I did get some hate for liking on Throne of Glass, which was a good series. It was a good series. Like Heir of Fire, my top read of 2020. It's my favorite book ever. Like Heir of Fire, hands down favorite book ever. Can't tell me any other like book has to be my favorite book. Heir of Fire. But there is this like negativity that I see that like there isn't this. It's the negativity that spreads from just cutting people off and like being like, you can't, no, this is just this. It's a black and white thing when it's really everything is gray. Like characters, like morally gray characters are morally gray because everything isn't in black and white. And no, nothing is ever right and nothing is ever truly wrong. Like, yes, there are truly wrong things, like racism is really wrong. Transphobia, JK Rowling, bad. But like there's a line that, especially with like the Booktok community, where there is a line to be told between like telling somebody they're like wrong versus having like a very discussion. Like a lot of people kind of Nesta, a lot of people are like, you should not like her, versus there's like a big community who's like, yes, you should. And the discourse between the two is just I never
Right.
stay away from that.
And people kind of forget that.
Yeah.
They forget that.
Yeah.
Like somebody and have different viewpoints, but still like have an educated discussion.
Exactly. I think people need to, like you were saying, stop looking at it from a black and white perspective. Like there's so many shades of gray in this discussion, and there's so many things to point out where a book may have problematic aspects in one area, but may mean a lot to someone still despite that, or it may even succeed in another area, like looking at ACOTAR. The depiction of PTSD in Aftermath really helped me as someone who suffers from PTSD. And there are definitely problematic things in those books, but there's problematic things in a lot of books. And I think it's important to remember that instead of shutting down other people for liking that, we should be having a discussion about it. And then I think we should be encouraging the authors to do better. And also, my main goal with all this stuff is to also, if you hate a book and if you don't think it deserves any promotion, even you constantly be negative about it is going to be getting it press. All publicity is good publicity, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. In that situation, you're going to have people seeing that out of curiosity. They're going to want to see if it's as bad as you made it seem, and they're going to buy it. Or someone with the opposite viewpoint as you is going to buy it out of spite. So that's why, in my eyes, whenever there's a problematic book that I don't want to support, I just instead support a book that I think it sells in those areas. Mm-hmm. And I think by being overly positive in those areas, it can help more than constantly be negative. And because this stuff can hurt other people, it can hurt. Creators were hurt with like the threats they were receiving, the negativity, and then other creators were lashing out at other creators and doing horrible things like misgendering and just really blatant cyberbullying. And so all this negativity only spurs more negativity. I think the best thing to do in this situation is learn how to have civilized discussions and then uplift the voices of those we want to.
Right. I completely agree.
I wholeheartedly, I think we're all on the same level. I'm not just,
I think we are all just like, we were at that point where we're just like, we know how to differentiate between hating someone and completely bashing on them and being completely like a terrible person, whereas being an understanding person on the different side of a bridge, but then willing to hold on to a bridge to bridge that discussion. Excuse the pun, but there it is. We know how to talk with people and we know how to have those discussions because we are aware that not every journey is the same. Not like you said, like ACOTAR really highlights PTSD, and that's something that a lot of people are drawn to, is that journey of healing that many books don't really touch yet. And you know, it's not to say that there aren't any, but that's just saying like, if you find that book and then you end up liking it, you're going to want to look for more that highlight that area. And then you are open to a world of possibility. That's not the stopping point. That may be the starting block, but that is not where we finish. And people need to realize books are always going to be out there and books are always going to be changing and adapting. The books that we're getting now highlight women in such a beautiful way that books back when I was 10 years ago, completely different, the female protagonist, and just that growth in 10 years. Imagine what's going to happen in another 10 years, how books will change. And we are influential in that process, what we want to read, what publishers see that the need is there for. We can demand that by demanding that this be represented, that this book be pushed, that this author be highlighted. And our voice matters, but it also is a very harmful weapon when it's used negatively.
Shout out to David. And there was also a TikToker who, she was the one, I think I sent you this post, Grace, and she was talking about how like ACOTAR really highlights mental illness and the struggle with mental illness. And that's why a lot of people do resonate with ACOTAR. And that's why I resonated with Air of Fire a lot, was this this accomplished, like overcoming of mental health and stuff. And I really resonated with that. And that's why I am reading A Court of Silver Flames, is because like I really resonate with Nesta. And like even I'm only about 200 pages in, and I've marked places where I was like, I felt exactly like this in my life. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, that like there's characters who are written for certain types of people, and certain types of people who struggle with certain things, like Nesta. That's why I do like Nesta's, because like she struggles with things that I have struggled with, and I've said some of the things she said about herself, I have said that over and over again in my life. Like that's where I think like people just tend to overlook those things a lot when it comes to like reading and stuff, is that like, yes, you can there can be like, Sarah J. Maas does have a lot of problems, but she's not the most harmful author, because like J.K. Rowling is way worse, and we've all canceled J.K. Rowling, but people are still like buying secondhand. Great, buy secondhand. Eamon, shout out to her. Half Price Books sells A Court of Silver Flames, so if you check your local Half Price Books to see if they sell it, they might not. I had to go into Barnes and Noble to get it, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that either.
It's okay. But like, I think everybody kind of understands that, you know, there's always a different side and we can always have a discussion. And we hoping that these type of waves of negativity and hate kind of subside and we start having like this calm openness and understanding between all of our different types of age groups, all of our different types of reading groups, and we love this community so much, but like everything, there's always a bad side and there's always a good side. And yeah.
Yeah, I think we grew a lot as a community since August when something similar had happened then. And I think this was another point that we will watch our community grow even more. And I think this is a good lesson for some people. And I think it's something that will just encourage us to be better ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to end it here. So thank you, Cait, for joining us. And thank you, everybody who has stayed to listen to this podcast. It's going to be about 2-hour podcast. I think this always happens with Grace and I. We always like, oh, it's going to be like an hour when we have a guest. It's like, it's really long. It ends up being really long. Like Grace and I are always like, for our like new book ones, are going to be like, okay, 30 minutes to 45 minutes for this. We end up like an hour and a half. Like,
just because we like talking and we get into it. And every time we have a guest, it's just like, we like you guys so much. And Cait, you've been such a blast. You've given us so much more insight and we just love your personality. Like I got emotional earlier on.
yes, I thank you so much for, I know we said not to focus on the numbers, but you are a very big creator compared to like us. And like, it really means a lot that you're like coming on. You're like, of course I will. Like, of course. Like, that's great that you like, we're like, yes, I would come on. Like, I'd love to be on. And that really means a lot to us, I think, probably. Cause we're like, we're so probably insignificant in your world that like, that you came on and like you said yes. And I'm just like,
Yes.
I was just so excited when you guys asked me to be on because I love you guys and everything you guys do. So I'm just very excited to be able to sit here and talk with you guys.
thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm like blushing. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening. All the links will be down in the description. All the links for Cait, all the links for me, for Grace. Stay tuned for next week. We are going to be doing The Shadows Between Us. That is going to be our like bookish episode because we're trying to do more of those because we haven't been doing those, even though we created a whole podcast to do those, and all we've been doing is guests. But thank you again, Cait, and thank you to our listeners, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.